From the news leader in Northern California, News Center 4, Night Beat. Here's the very latest.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pete Wilson. One story dominates the news at this hour. The crash of a San Francisco-bound jetliner with 88 people on board off the Southern California coast. Only crash debris and an oil slick were visible not long after Alaska Airlines Flight 261 went down off Point Mugu, up the coast from Los Angeles. And it appears no one survived. Still, searchers will be out throughout the night. Several bodies have been recovered. Crash investigators are on the way from Washington to look into what seems at this hour to be a mechanical problem. The plane was an MD-83, similar to this one, headed to San Francisco from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The pilot radioed he was having stabilizer problems. He asked to land in Los Angeles. Live team coverage in 15 seconds. First, Steve, a look at the weather here and near the crash site.
Let's give you an update of what's happening down there for the rescue efforts that are happening. You'll notice the temperature, it's 51 degrees. Its visibility is 7 miles of seas. Don't seem to be a problem. Current sea temperature at 56 degrees down there. For us, it looks like the clouds will hang with us in the Bay Area through the morning hours. We'll continue with mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the 40s. Full forecast in a few minutes.
Now we have team coverage on this disaster from Southern California and from SFO, where the plane was bound.
We are going to begin tonight in Southern California, where the story unfolded a little before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Laura Anthony is near the crash site with a live report tonight. Laura.
Pam, we are here in Ventura County in Oxnard at the Coast Guard station here. This is about 8 to 10 miles from the search area. At this hour, we are hearing that searchers have recovered some bodies. At last word, 7 bodies, along with some debris from Flight 261. This is 7 hours after this plane disappeared into the ocean, and with each passing hour, the prospect of finding anyone alive continues to fade. Cabin debris in an oil slick covers a wide field in the ocean between the coast and the Channel Islands. Everything was normal with Flight 261 until the pilot radioed that he was having trouble with a stabilizer trim. Such a problem could put the plane in an uncontrollable dive. The pilot wanted to make an emergency landing at LAX, but before he could do that, the plane plunged from 17,000 feet and disappeared from radar. The search for possible survivors will go on all night, even though the chance that anyone survive grows slimmer by the hour.
The water temperature is about 58 degrees. We're going to search for survivors until there is 0 chance of finding anybody from this tragedy alive. And every resource is out there to find people. We're actively searching for survivors.
And that search is going on by sea and air, involving not only the Coast Guard, but also Navy units. Alaska Airlines said it was deeply saddened by the crash.
What we are doing and what we have done this evening is we have dispatched a passenger assistance team, which is made up of literally hundreds of airline employees here at Alaska Airlines. Those people will be going not only to the airport here in Seattle, but to other locations throughout our route system where passengers may have been expected.
Governor Gray Davis ordered the National Guard and Office of Emergency Services to offer any help they can in the search.
The state of California stands ready to provide all the comfort and assistance possible to the families of the passengers and crew.
And at this hour, Pam, there are dozens of search boats and helicopters still out combing the crash site. But again, at this point, no sign of survivors. They have found, at last count, 7 bodies, along with some debris, we understand, including some luggage and a teddy bear. And again, at this hour, there are dive teams standing by just in case there are any signs of life out there. Reporting live from Ventura County, I'm Laura Anthony. Back to you, Pam.
Laura, thank you for that report tonight. We should add crash investigators from Washington are due on the scene tomorrow morning.
Alaska Airlines Flight 261 was due at SFO a little after 5 o'clock this evening, and then was to continue on to Seattle after passengers cleared customs. The latest from the airline, 32 of those aboard were to deplane at SFO, and Nightbeat Sue Kwan is at the airport with reaction there. Sue?
Well, Flight 261 was supposed to land here at exactly 5:11 this evening. Now, as you mentioned, everyone would have gotten off the plane to go through customs, and then 32 were expected to stay here at SFO, with the remaining going on to Seattle. Now, some of those deplaning here at SFO had loved ones waiting for them, and earlier today they were quickly brought to a private waiting room here at the airport. Mark Topel came to SFO to check if anyone survived the crash of Alaska Flight 261. His friend was on the flight from Puerto Vallarta bound for Seattle. Airline officials told him this.
The plane broke in two in the air and landed on the water, so presumably, and it broke at a low altitude so that the compression wouldn't harm people, you know, the decompression. So I don't know, there's probably hope. And they're searching all night, so we'll see. So there's some hope. There's some hope, yeah.
He will now call his friend's wife, who is waiting for word in Seattle. At least a dozen people with a family member or friend on board Flight 261 gathered in an airport waiting room. SFO called in mental health counselors, clergy, and relief workers to comfort them.
Those phone calls were made, and before you could turn around, they were here. I understand the Red Cross is having some kind of a seminar right here in the local hotel, only a few blocks away. And when they heard about it, they responded to the airport. So that was tremendous response. I can tell you that the mood in the room is very somber. There were some tears shed, and certainly people have hopes of seeing their friends and relatives, hoping that they did not perish in this accident.
The latest numbers here from Alaska Airlines, 32 were supposed to deplane here at SFO, 47 going on to Seattle, 3 more going on to Eugene, Oregon, and 1 on to Fairbanks, Alaska. And what we're being told tonight is that many of the folks who came here to find those passengers are now being put up in local hotels and still being watched and monitored by the Red Cross and other mental health officials. A very sad evening here tonight at SFO. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Sue Kwan. That's the toughest part of the story, obviously, that report from San Francisco International Airport.
And we want to go now live to a Coast Guard news conference that is underway in Southern California. Let's listen in.
Any and all of our resources from the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department, should they request anything, we will be, if we have it, it's theirs.
Sergeant, can you tell us what's been found at sea?
You know, all of that stuff it's a Coast Guard thing, and I hate to keep saying it's a Coast Guard thing, but it is. What I know is that they have located the crash site. I don't know what type of debris. I don't know if they brought back any of the passengers that were on board the aircraft. I simply don't know.
What did Sergeant Wright tell you?
I haven't talked to Captain Wright. Captain Wright, as I was told, is on his way here to coordinate this effort. His primary function is going to be, he's going to be the man in charge of this entire operation, and that's where his focus will be at the very beginning. The only thing I can tell you is that we expressed to the Coast Guard that, and they're going to try and make him available as his time permits.
What about the depth of the water at the crash site? Did you find that out?
All I know is what they told me, it's very deep, and you know, I don't know what the definition of very deep is, so you know, I really don't know.
Stand from the Coast Guard that the depth of the water where the plane went down was approximately.
Again, that was a live press conference being held, and then you saw our sister station, KNBC, breaking in there at the last moment. But that press conference has wound its way down now with no new information beyond what we've been telling you.
And mainly the local authorities in the area of the crash down in the Oxnard-Ventura County area. Of course, the plane was an MD-83, and it has been part of the Alaska Airlines fleet since 1992. The MD-83 is a twin-engine jetliner, one of 5 models of the MD-80, which was built by McDonnell Douglas, which is now a part of Boeing. It has a capacity of between 137 and 172 passengers, depending on the configuration of the plane. The aircraft has a range of more than 3,200 miles. It has a cruising speed of 576 miles an hour. Now, according to tomorrow's San Francisco Chronicle, a federal grand jury has been investigating the maintenance of MD-80s at the Alaska Airlines repair facility in Oakland. According to the report, last year, the FAA proposed to fine the airline $44,000 for maintenance violations and moved to revoke the licenses of 3 of the airline's mechanic managers at the Oakland facility. More in the Chronicle tomorrow.
That sense of deja vu that we had tonight, because we had a scene that is all too familiar in very recent memory. The long and painstaking search for survivors, dark, choppy seas, the eerie light from rescue vessels. With more on what's to come following the crash of Flight 261, we go to News Center 4's Nikki Jackson, reporting live from the Coast Guard station at Alameda. Nikki?
Well, Pete, I'm told with the warm water temperatures hovering around 56 degrees, it is entirely possible for somebody who does not have significant injuries to survive 8 hours or even longer out there. The Coast Guard here, of course, their main concern is finding people alive, and they're doing an all-out effort.
Yes, we still need that.
Members of the U.S. Coast Guard are frantically directing the effort to find any possible survivors on board Alaska Airlines Flight 261.
We're talking to everybody who could conceivably help us with this operation. They are in charge of the search here.
The Coast Guard has dispatched a massive amount of people and equipment. They'll search a specific pattern from the air, crossing over the water in a ladder-like shape.
What they'll be doing then is flying a succession of patterns. And if we do this in the daytime, the first pattern you fly typically gives you what we call a probability of detection of only about 75 or 78%. That's the probability that we will find the target we're looking for.
The target, of course, is survivors. The likelihood of finding someone in the dark drops to 15% per pass. Coast Guard choppers are also equipped with night vision goggles, which may or may not truly help in the effort.
Now, the crews are going out with night vision goggles, but you've seen in the video from tonight that there are a lot of boats out with very bright lights on, the fishing boats and that sort of thing, and which renders night vision goggles almost useless.
Even so, the Coast Guard says it'll work nonstop until it's absolutely certain no one could have survived.
We will stay out there all night and all day tomorrow as long as we feel that there's a chance we could find one person alive.
Of course, the Coast Guard's main effort here is to rescue people. If it becomes a recovery effort, then it goes into the hands of the NTSB. Back to you.
Nikki Jackson, thanks a lot.
Well, what will investigators be looking for as they sort through wreckage? Next on Night Beat, we'll talk with a Bay Area aviation expert about what might have happened and where the investigation is likely headed.